or to whatever, and you never notice the difference. We had the same life always, but you never paid any attention to money. And I did all the time. I
made a good balance.
Yeah, I guess so.
Made a good balance. It's not that I changed my mind because of what you're saying, but I knew I had to make it one way or the other. And you had a right to bitch. You got 3 kids out there. You got, by that time we had 5 aboard with Mark and Jimmy there as well.
And the horses, and the dogs, and the cats, and
the... 25 horses are nothing. It's just 5 in help, or 6 in help, or whatever it was.
Yeah,
but it didn't have, none of it had to do with anything but natural. You know, the whole business of starting off in Spain, just talk a moment, starting off in Spain and walking in and to your first house, and the business of having people in the house to help you, of having whatever you want to call them, maids, servants, people.
I found it embarrassing.
Wasn't it? But they came with the house. I didn't have any choice.
I know.
I really didn't reach and say, I need 3 people to help me in the house. It was the last thing.
And Lucia wouldn't even let me in the kitchen.
Talk about it a little.
And the maids had such an idea of how the children should be raised, and it was interesting. And Wani would plant whatever he wanted to plant, and God help me if I didn't want tulips or whatever he was putting down there. That's what we were going to have. So
it was also
we were really run ragged by them, and they were wonderful.
It was also the richest of experiences having them around. That's why we learned Spain as very few people did, to the inside of their lives.
And that's why I learned to speak such lousy Spanish. Because Lucia taught me to speak Spanish.
Well, I don't know. Our kids lived in the same house, and they spoke perfect Spanish. And I can't say that exactly was it. But the original on that was your idea that we should speak English, and that they would hear no English at all around, and they would lose it completely. And we decided we were going to speak English in the house, and they'd be forced to at least listen to it.
Well, if not, we were mute because we didn't speak any Spanish. Remember that.
That's true.
You kept telling me before we left New York that Discos Americanos was it.
Tell me where Discos Americanos came from.
We were in the MG riding along 14th Street. We went past a record shop, and they had a big sign. It said Discos Americanos. Entonces, you kept saying, all right, so there's Spanish, you know how to speak Spanish, it'll be no problem whatsoever. We got to Spain, nobody ever said Discos Americanos, never.
You carried your dictionary. I, who have never cracked a dictionary in my life, was that kind of a student. To this day, and you, who never, anybody ever having mentioned a word and questioning a word, who wouldn't go for a dictionary, and you started to crack it immediately. And I think the first Spanish you used was when we got pulled out of the ditch on the way to La Chopera, and you were so grateful and said, "Ay, señor, muchísimas gracias." And that was it. It was fantastic. All kinds of stuff. Well, if we put this down correctly, it'd be interesting, because we got a bunch of kids who no way in the world can know what went on the first 3 or 4 years
They were pretty
in their
little.
ages.
Come on. Scott was 1